Hi, and welcome to this instructional DVD for the HyperGrowl. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your purchase of this MAD product. We're so excited about the introduction of this new call. I want to talk to you a little bit about the advantages of the call, how to use it. I'm going to share with you a couple very special hunts with the prototype of the call and the finished working model of the call. We're going to hear from the call's inventor, Jason Knowles, and by the time this production is done, hopefully we're all going to be better hunters. First of all, let's go through some of the advantages of this particular call. The HyperGrowl's patent-pending sound system is more realistic and representative of the true anatomy of a deer than any call ever invented. With the anatomy correct, the sound is correct. Perfect deep grunts, growls, pops, and snort wheezes become easy for any hunter to achieve. The hyperventilator tube simulates the deer's nasal cavity. The HV tube relieves pressure, reduces airflow to the reed, and thus the call cannot be overblown or locked up. This feature also allows the caller to supply more air, simulating the lungs of a much larger deer, and thus makes a significantly louder call that travels longer distance and punches the wind more than any other call on the market. The HV tube simulates the deer's nasal cavity. The caller can put his hand over the end of the call and force all of the air through the HV tube, perfectly simulating the true snort-wheeze sound of a deer. The snort-wheeze sound can be quickly and easily added to a calling sequence without removing air supply from the call. Both HV tube and rubber sound cone can be manipulated with the caller's hand to change the back pressure and alter the sound much like the inflections in a natural deer's tone. Additionally, either or both passages of the HV tube nasal cavity can be plugged with the caller's hand to add tonal inflections by altering the airflow. This is the first grunt call that can grunt and wheeze alone or in any combination, 80-20, 50-50, 15-85, whatever the caller chooses, while blowing through the same hole. This is what deer really do. Vocalizations come from their nose and their mouth, not just their mouth. It's also the first call that allows calling without a vacuum and allows sound to resonate. This is the difference between what you sound like with your nose plugged or your nose open. Additionally, it's the first call that sounds exactly the same at 30 yards and 150 yards without changing the rate of vibration of the reed and meaning of the call. Every single grunt call on the market has a reed system that sounds different the softer or louder it is blown. The louder it is blown, the more aggressive it sounds. Hunters need the ability of calling to a deer at 50 yards or 200 yards without scaring them. This call handles over twice the amount of air than any grunt call on the market. Big deer sound big because they move a lot of air. The amount of air is fully adjustable with this unique call. It's the first grunt call on the market with volume control and is over twice as loud as the nearest competitor without distortion. And finally, there are no copycats. The technology is patent pending, and this structural change has changed everything. It cannot be replicated. It's clear this call is going to change the way you hunt white-tailed deer. It's going to change the way you call to them. Let's now listen to the call's inventor, Jason Knowles. He has a lot of insight as to why he developed this unique new call.
Growing up in Iowa and being passionate about bow hunting, I've always spent a tremendous amount of time in the tree. It was frustrating for me that every single season there'd be several opportunities lost. I was tired of having encounters where I thought I should be able to reach those deer and they just absolutely kept their head down and kept walking. You have to realize when these deer are marching through and they're running like that, they're creating internal noise. They're breathing heavy. Consequently, it's hard for them to hear, what's going on around them. So sometimes you think you're getting ignored. That's the way I felt. And sometimes they're just not hearing it. It was through that frustration that I decided to put my inventive personality, if you say, to finding a solution for this call. I really just worked and worked to try to create a mechanism that would allow the standard call to be a lot louder. So I thought I had it absolutely perfect. I went out during the rut and I found out the hard way multiple times that loud was not what the call needed to be. I was blowing encounter after encounter after encounter, and I can't even say why. I guess part of the reason is the deer close to me were getting blown out, it probably sounded different. If I had a deer 200 yards or 100 yards away, it absolutely didn't work. And one of the discoveries I made that just absolutely blew my mind was the snort wheeze was way louder than the grunt. The reason why is because the volume of air, the turbulence of air, the velocity of air was everything. If this is a vocal fold and the air rushes past it, as it rushes past it, they vibrate and it makes that sound, that grunt, bronk, 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 as it goes past it. Now, there's another way to make sound, and that way to make sound is like this. That is actually the sound of turbulent air. And turbulent air combines with this grunt sound to make just about every sound above a grunt. The burp, bark, if you will, that loud sound. The growl is not just coming through the mouth. It's coming through the mouth. It's coming through the nasal passages. When you look at this call, it's designed like a mouth and the nostrils. And it couldn't be more fitting that it's designed that way. It's not until you can get this air sound with it, you're going to get the real sound these whitetails are making. This equalizes the pressure with the atmosphere outside. It equalizes the pressure to get more effectiveness out of the reed. The same thing would be applied to when I'm talking and I plug my nose. When we blow through this call, you can plug this front end, and when you do that, you have the original growl. When you open this cavity, essentially what you're allowing is you're allowing an equalization in pressure, and this is allowing that reed to not quite vibrate as fast. This reed is only capable, the way it's designed, of shooting out so much sound, of processing so much air. Remember that when you blow this, even when air exits out this, sound is faster than air, so it's filling the whole place up with sound. When you open this up, you have the same exact sound, but you have bigger volume. It's a bigger deer. It's nice to be able to call to a deer 100 yards away and say, this is a tending grunt. Another thing I really like about this call is the fact that you can load up pressure in it and you can get a lot of nasal sound, and then you can open up into a burp. There's not a call on the market that can make that resonating pop. So basically this call, this mechanism, it allows us to process lots of air, and it allows us to combine the sound. If we want to create back pressure, we combine the sound of wheeze with grunt, which is actually what's happening when a whitetail is aggressive. There's not a single call out there right now that has the ability to call like a big 200-some-pound whitetail blowing all of its air out. That's what made the call realistic. That's what made the call so that you could use it in close quarters with deer loud. Air is absolutely everything with this call.
I'm sure glad that Jason came up with this innovation. I've had the good fortune to take this call into the field the past 2 seasons. First with a prototype. Let me set this hunt up just a little bit for you. It's late October. I'm in the Iowa timber where I love to be, and it's literally the first time I ever blew this prototype. And the hunt that follows, you shall see the HyperGrowl in action. Here comes Chiquita.
This morning was made for deer hunting. It's Halloween. Pressure's on the rise. And we're in the right tree. This is what I call brushy bottom. I really thought it could be the best spot I've ever hung in my life. It's that cool. This was designed for these deer to come down all these fingers and get down here and where they bed and then play around all morning. Hopefully we're in the playground this morning. I think we are. We'll see if they're out to play.
It is crystal cold, crystal clear, calm, high pressure morning. Didn't take long. We saw the first antlers of the morning. Whew. It is on.
Coming straight at us, Joe. watched that Chiquita come in the backside of this tree. I had a 40-yard shot and I couldn't get him. I'm gonna try and rattle. What an unbelievable experience. First, we got a 4 or 5-year-old 10-point 160 class. Chiquita, that's the second time I've ever seen him in my life. Comes out right here. I got him at 40 yards. I just get the full draw. He steps out of my, oh, there he is, there he is, there he is. Jump right here. What a giant, one of the biggest bucks I've ever seen in my life. Second time I've ever laid eyes on him this morning. That's Chiquita. That's Chiquita. I had him at 30 yards and I hit him high. I can't believe I did that, but I think I got it. Came to full draw on that deer 3 times this morning. Had him at 40 and I almost got a shot. Rattled, didn't come, grunted, growled, snort wheezed, the new HyperGrowl. Boom, I look up and he's standing here at 35 yards. Comes straight in, gives me a shot right there. I hit him a little high, but I think we're okay. You talk about what dreams are made of, buddy. Baby, that was a dream. That was a dream. Fun days.
It's the morning after, one of the best days you could possibly have as a whitetail hunter. As I sit here behind just an incredibly framed, totally mature 8 or 9-year-old deer, 8.5 or 9.5, a buck we called Chiquita. We nicknamed him that because of the curvature in every tine. They each look like a banana, even his brow tines. And we gave him that name years ago. I've known this buck since he was probably 4 or 5. Had pictures of him on the Wildlife Eye, lots of Reconyx photos. Actually saw him last year on October the 30th, and here it is this year, Halloween morning. He is an awesome buck, and it's the awesome ending to a 5-year quest to try and see him and even be more lucky to harvest him. We've got all kinds of sheds to this deer, and now we've actually got the deer. Unbelievable story. Chiquita is finally on video. Unbelievable. Great day to be a deer hunter. Great day. You've heard about the advantage of the call. I'll take you very quickly on how to use it. It's fairly simple. If you want a standard grunt call, you can stop the airflow from going through both tubes by simply covering that up. You cover the HV tube up. Don't let any air pass through it. If you want to snort wheeze, you do the opposite. You cover the end of the grunt call or the vocal chamber. Now, if you really want to use the call the way it was designed to be used, you don't cover anything up, and you can go from as soft as you want to be, and you hear some of that air escaping through the HV tube. That's what deer do. They make sound through their throat and their nose. Listen as I climb the ladder in volume and in air pressure. It's really incredible the fact that you can go that low and then that loud within the same sequence. You can also do it in combination, or you can simply do a deer that's kind of checking a scent trail. I've heard that sound a multitude of times. When a buck's chasing a doe and he's lost that trail, he'll go in there and really start that heavy breathing trying to find that trail. The other time that I hear it a lot are when deer are actually in and around an acorn tree or some food source. You'll hear them in there using their olfactory senses trying to find that next bit of scent. I like to give that calling sequence a lot too, where I'll actually snort wheeze and then roll it straight into a grunt or straight into a growl. The call is very simple to use, but give yourself some time in your house to practice a little bit, the difference between snort wheezing and grunting, and you'll get a feel for how loud you can be out there in the field. Now let's go back out in the field. Again, I'm in Iowa. This time I'm with a finished prototype of the HyperGrowl, and in fact, it's the first time that I used the HyperGrowl. So first time I used the prototype and the first time I used the finished product, I had some very good luck. Let's go into the Iowa hardwoods again with the HyperGrowl. Here comes a deer I nicknamed Treat. It's October the 27th. We've got a cold front. Could this be the day that everything changes? Clearly the mood has changed. These bucks are in the right mood. Now, can we see the right buck?
We're having a blast for late October. The cold weather's really showing some daylight movement. This is awesome. We saw that 3-year-old and then that high-rack 2-year-old. Both those deer are going to be gorgeous in a year or two. Fun stuff. Fun day to be a bow hunter. Tim and I both agree that we hear a buck like either sparring or rubbing. We think it's rubbing. We had a doe shoot through just a little bit ago. And then that 2-year-old stood there and stared and then walked off. I'm gonna cry. Tim, make sure. Get on him. No. Go ahead. On him. Yeah, go.
Huh?
Go.
You on him?
Shoot.
Hit him back. Dang it. He's bleeding good. I don't know how I hit back, but I did. But he's bleeding when he took off. That's a giant, buddy. I mean a freaking giant. Whew. I'm talking deer is huge, Tim. It came straight into the HyperGrowl. I don't know how I hit back so bad. And I had it right on him. I don't know what I did. But I believe we'll get him. What an Iowa giant. You know, a lot of thoughts go through your mind as a bow hunter when you see a guy like this step out. Just a fantastic specimen, a fantastic buck, and I could not be happier. It's a buck that I nicknamed Treat, and I actually encountered this buck last year the same morning I killed Chiquita, and that was Halloween. And he was no trick, he was a treat for sure. And look what he changed into and blew into this year. He's just a monster body and a monster deer, and I could not be happier.
Hopefully you enjoyed those two sequences. And one thing about calling that you have to remember is you're not going to be successful all of the time, but the more realistic you can become and the more that you play on a deer's curiosity, the more successful you're going to be. The one awesome thing about the HyperGrowl is I call with much more confidence now than I ever have because of the fact that it sounds so much like a live deer. And as long as you're sounding realistic and you keep that wind in your face and you have some barrier behind you that you don't let many deer get downwind of you, you can expect a lot of success out in the field. How often do I have success? I had a lot of success with the prototype and with the finished product on the HyperGrowl. But a lot of success to me might be 1 out of every 20 times that I try. You're not going to be successful every time. It's the same thing with rattling or food plots or whatever tactic you have. Deer just don't react the same all the time. So be realistic about how much success you can expect. I love this particular new call, and we're so excited to share it with you. Again, thank you for your purchase of a MAD product, and good luck out in the field. Send us your pictures. If you kill a deer with the HyperGrowl, we want to hear about it. Good luck, everybody.